too pure for this wicked world. Your data's uncorrupted, but does something skip inside you? That's what takes up time.
Hi, welcome back to My Hot Kitchen. I'm Wendy, and I'm showing you another one of my favorite romantic dinners. So are you relaxed? And you're feeling good, right? All right, well, let's get cooking. Tonight we're going to be making easy chicken Monterey with southwestern rice and black beans. So you're going to get started on your rice first. And what you're going to need is some minced pepper and minced onion to season up the rice. But you're only going to need a little bit. Really, just about that much pepper will do the trick. You're going to break this down into a nice fine mince. Next thing is the onion. You cut off the top first and then the bottom. Makes it a lot easier to peel it. Peeling the onion always brings back memories of when I was an intern in a kitchen and I had to peel 50 pounds of onions every morning. A lot of tears shed over that one. Now, if you find that the onion's making you cry a little bit, give it a rinse in cold water. And again, you just need a little tiny bit of this onion. Slice it thin. Line it up and give it another cut through so you have a nice fine mince. This is ready to go in the saute pan. Let's just set aside whatever onion you have left. Make sure you grab that butter. And I'm just going to take the whole cutting board right over here next to my saute pan. First thing I'm going to do is add the butter into it. I'm just going to drop a little bit in to make sure my temperature is right. Sounds good? Beautiful. And to that, you want to add the onion and the bell pepper that you just minced. Yummy. Just hear a happy little sizzle on that. Now it's time for fun with spices. A little bit too much. Just about that much chili powder. I really like to eyeball things. It makes cooking a little more fun. And about twice as much paprika. If you like it spicier, go ahead and add a little more of that delicious chili powder to your pilaf here. Give it a little saute. By adding the spices into the oil right now, you're going to allow them to develop their flavor completely. And just want to let this sort of break down the onions and the peppers a little bit. Just keep it moving around the pan. Don't let it burn. It's okay if it gets a little bit brown though. When you start to see the onions turn translucent and the peppers get soft, that's the point when you want to add the rice. Move the rice around the pan too and make sure that each grain of rice is coated with all that delicious flavor you just cooked up. It's going to be a pretty dark orange color. Now you want to add the water. Bring it up to a boil, then down to a simmer. Since you're making your rice from scratch, you're going to need to add quite a bit of salt to it. Now I have a slow pouring salt shaker here, so it looks like I'm adding a lot more than I really am. I like the slow pour because it gives me more control over how salty I make my food. Should taste quite salty when you taste it. And go ahead, put a lid on it. Listen for that boil and then reduce the heat, drop it down to a simmer. So my style of chicken Monterey calls for chili flake and salt rubbed all over the chicken before you add the avocado and tomato. I like quite a bit of chili flake because I like my food kind of hot sometimes. And the avocado and the cheese are going to help to dull the fire of the chili, so you can go a little more generous on it than you normally would. Kind of pull some from the front and slide it all around the back. The underside of the chicken is probably the part that's going to be hitting the taste buds first, so keep that in mind as you're spreading the chili flake and the salt over the surface. You don't want to neglect it. Alright, this is ready to go in the oven. So I've got the oven preset to 350 degrees. And I'm going to let it cook for about 25-35 minutes or so. In the meantime, we can get the beans going. So you're going to need part of that onion and part of that bell pepper that you already started for the rice. And again, you're going to do the same thing, just a nice fine mince on it. Now this recipe of black beans is something that I have kept as a closely guarded secret for years now. I've delighted many of my friends and family with this recipe, but I'm very excited to share it with you. It's delicious. Mince them nice and fine. Onto the onion. Again, you're just going to need a little bit of it. Maybe just a few slices like that. That should do the trick. You can use whatever sort of onion you like. I'm really into red onions right now, but I go through phases. Sometimes I like sweet, sometimes I like white. But right now it's red. I'm going to mince these down just a little bit finer. I want them to sort of disintegrate into the beans so that you don't really get chunks of onions in them. You just taste that delicious flavor. You want it to be kind of a, what is that flavor? All right, and then a couple nice fat cloves of garlic need to go in these beans as well. Garlicky beans are just awesome. They go so well together, garlic and beans. All right, go ahead and cut off the stem. And then mince these even finer than you mince the peppers and the onions. And if you don't want to bother with mincing, go ahead and break out a garlic press. That'll get the job done just as well. Although I do have to say that hand mincing results in a better, smoother flavor from the garlic. But this is your romantic night, so cut your garlic how you want to. And I want this to be much finer than that, so it's going to take a few more passes. Your sweetie's going to taste these beans and think that you are just the best chef ever. It's amazing what a bunch of garlic and beans will do for you. There's a few other ingredients though. We'll call that good. And the last thing that you're going to need to cut up for this delicious bean dish is going to be a piece of bacon. So slice it in half first. Again, it's all about complementing the flavor of the beans, not overpowering them with giant chunks of food. So you're going to cut the bacon into little pieces too. You know, nothing says love like bacon. So tasty. Adds flavor and texture and something special to just about everything that I've tried to put it in. All right, we're ready to go make some beans. So I'm going to take this whole operation over here. So the first thing you want to do to make this delicious pot of beans is render this bacon. And when I say render the bacon, I mean you're just going to cook the fat out of it. I'm going to move it around the pan, let it warm up on all the sides of those little tiny pieces. And you're just going to cook it until the fat starts to come out of it and the meat starts to cook. It's going to take a few minutes. Again, you don't want to let it burn. This isn't about making crispy bacon right now. This is about making tender bacon. So the bacon fat has just about rendered out of the bacon. Bacon is nice and tender. Now it's time to add some spices to this to really make the flavor. Okay, this is chili powder, just a little tiny bit. A little bit more of that. Then about that same amount of paprika. Again, adding it to the hot oil so its flavor can completely develop. And then cumin. A little bit more than you added of each of the others. This is what's really going to make the flavor of the beans awesome. The cumin and the bacon together are a magical combination for black beans. All right. Add your garlic and your onions and your peppers in one shot. As the water cooks out of those vegetables, it's going to help to scrape up the spices off the bottom of the pan. And last but not least, add your beans. And I recommend using canned beans for an easy night in. Just make sure you drain off most all of the liquid. That way you're not serving soupy beans to your sweetie. Just let it simmer for about 10 or 15 minutes on a nice low temperature to let those flavors blend together. You may need to add just a little bit of water to it to keep it from burning. Now it's time to cut the garnish for the chicken. So I'm going to need my cutting board and my knife. Always moving things around on myself. All right, and you're going to garnish this delicious chicken Monterey with an avocado and tomato and Monterey Jack cheese. So start by slicing into your avocado. It's kind of like cutting it across its axis. It's going to be such a beautiful meal. This is my favorite way to remove an avocado seed. And then you're going to want to scoop the avocado out of the skin. And then just slide a spoon in between the avocado and the skin. Pop it out. Repeat with the other one. Yeah, you're going to need both sides of this thing. Make sure you get that little piece of stem out of the avocado. You don't want that in your dinner. And then you're just going to slice these up nice and thin. Slice them really long, kind of on a bias. So that there's lots of avocado and it covers the entire chicken breast. And it's helpful if you can get the avocado to kind of stay together as you're cutting it. Sometimes it likes to stick to the knife. That's okay. Nice thin, even slices. You may or may not use all the avocado on the chicken. If you don't, you have a nice little snack, little appetizer. Now, isn't this fun, getting dressed up all nice like this and making a delicious dinner for your sweetheart? It's something I've really enjoyed doing for years, and I hope that you enjoy it too. It's added a lot of good memories to my marriage. All right, just gonna scoop that off to the side while you work on your tomato a little bit. Alrighty, slice into it right down its axis on first. Cut out the stem. I don't want to serve that either, it doesn't taste very good. And you don't know exactly how much of this tomato you're really going to need until you go to stack it on the chicken. So go ahead and slice the whole thing up. And then you want to slice it across its horizontal line. Again with the nice thin slices. Fresh ripe tomatoes are a little bit harder to slice. Just be really gentle with them and they'll slice for you just nice. I really love serving this meal to my sweetie. He loves avocados so much, and this just really makes the avocado a beautiful presentation and a beautiful garnish for the chicken. Get a couple more slices off this guy. Alrighty. The next thing you want to do is go check on your chicken and see if it's done. And now it's time for the fun part. This is when you get to garnish the chicken. So you're going to start by stacking a little avocado and tomato on top in alternating layers. A little avocado, and try to find the right size slices to go over that particular piece of the chicken. A little more avocado, a little more tomato. Getting down to a narrow part of it here, so I need a nice small little slice of avocado. That's good. Now we're going to do the other one. A little more avocado, a little tomato. Look at how pretty that is. The alternating green and red. I think that food tastes better when it's attractive to look at. I guess that goes with a lot of things though. And we need a narrow slice of tomato next. And a little small slice of avocado. All right, the next part is you're gonna need to grate your cheese. So I've tried making this dish with sliced cheese and with grated cheese, and I have to say that the grated cheese does a much better job of melting evenly over the avocado and tomato. And it acts like a magic glue that holds your garnish on top of your chicken. You're gonna need a small mountain of cheese to make this work. All right, so take your cheese, sprinkle it over the top of the tomato and the avocado. It's gonna be really delicious. And spread it over the top as evenly as you can. And then repeat with the other one too. Small mountain of cheese is going to hold it all together. It's amazing. All right, and this is ready to go back in the oven so that it can melt. This part's not going to take very long at all. Just a couple minutes. And leave the light on and keep a close eye on it. Just going to move this stuff out of the way. Grab my dinner plates, because the next thing that we're going to do after the chicken's done is put it on a plate. Let's go check the cheese. So I think it's done. Oh yeah! That looks beautiful. Smells really great too. And now it's time to turn all these delicious dishes into one beautiful meal. So I'm going to start by putting the rice on the plate. Give it a nice little fluff as you're taking it out of the pan. This is going to be really, really tasty. Next is the beans. But before we put them on the plate, we're going to finish them off with just a little bit of red wine vinegar. Just a couple drops to really make the flavor pop. Mix that in, give it a taste. Shouldn't really taste the vinegar, it should just taste a little bit more flavorful. A little bit more. That should do the trick. And these go right next to the rice, overlapping the rice just a little bit. Look at that, it's amazing. And finally, the chicken. Carefully, carefully, carefully pull it out of the pan. Right next to the rice and the beans. It's helpful to kind of hold on to the garnish with your fingers. Now this romantic meal is ready to put on the table. These are so pretty. And for a little extra fun, you can serve up that colorful meal next to some corn chips or tortillas and a little hot sauce. Well, the cooking is done, so call in your sweetie and proudly show him the delicious dinner you just made for him. Don't eat this anymore. Honey!
Man, it smells so good in here.
I made you one of your favorites tonight.
Nice.
There you are.
Here I am. That's awesome. Oh, you look wonderful. Hi, my love. Have a seat.
Thank you.
This looks good.
Favorite?
That's my favorite. It's so good. This is such a hot kitchen.
So thanks for joining me in my hot kitchen tonight. I'll see you next week. Make sure you turn up the heat in your kitchen too. Night-night.
You're too pure for this wicked world.